Imagine being born into one of the most powerful fashion dynasties in the world. A family name that is synonymous with luxury, wealth, and influence. A life filled with designer clothes, private jets, and red carpet events. Sounds like a dream, right? But for Allegra Versace, the $800 million heiress, life has been anything but glamorous. Beneath the glitz and gold lies a tragic story filled with loss, struggle, and an identity crisis that no amount of wealth could ever fix. From the shocking murder of her beloved uncle, Gianni Versace, to a lifelong battle with mental health and an eating disorder, Allegra's life has been shaped by darkness in ways that few could ever imagine. Despite inheriting an empire worth nearly $1 billion, her story is a painful reminder that money can't buy happiness. So who is Allegra Versace really? What happened to her after Gianni's death? And why does she stay away from the spotlight, despite being the heir to one of the most famous fashion brands in the world? Let's uncover the truth behind Allegra Versace's tragic yet fascinating life. Born into a world of luxury and legacy. Allegra was born into fashion royalty on June 30, 1986, in Milan, Italy. Her mother, Donatella Versace, is the legendary designer and creative director of Versace, while her father, Paul Beck, was a former fashion model. From the moment she was born, Allegra was surrounded by luxury and high fashion. She grew up in lavish mansions, traveled in private jets, and was dressed in custom Versace pieces before she could even walk. But the most important figure in her life wasn't her parents, it was her uncle, Gianni Versace. Gianni, the genius behind the Versace empire, adored Allegra. He saw her as his little princess, showering her with gifts, attention, and love. She was his favorite niece, and it was clear that she would be the future of the Versace dynasty. But Allegra's fairy tale life was about to turn into a nightmare. The tragic murder that changed everything. On July 15, 1997, Allegra's world came crashing down. Her beloved uncle, Gianni Versace, was brutally murdered outside his Miami Beach mansion, Casa Casuarina. He was shot twice in the head by serial killer Andrew Cunanan, a man with a history of killing wealthy and influential men. At just 11 years old, Allegra was watching TV in Italy when she received the devastating news. Her uncle, her mentor, the man she idolized, was gone forever. The murder shattered her childhood. Her once happy family was suddenly filled with grief, chaos, and fear. Donatella, who had always been a strong woman, fell into deep depression and drug addiction. The entire Versace empire was at risk of collapsing. And then came the biggest shock of all, Gianni's will. The $800 million inheritance she never wanted. In his will, Gianni left 50% of the Versace empire to Allegra. That meant that at just 11 years old, she became the heir to an empire worth $800 million. But instead of feeling lucky, Allegra felt trapped. While most kids her age were playing outside and enjoying their childhood, she was suddenly thrust into the brutal world of business, power struggles, and media attention. The paparazzi stalked her every move. Strangers on the street would whisper about her. She could no longer live a normal life. But the worst part, she never even wanted the money. Allegra has always been described as shy, introverted, and deeply private. Unlike her mother, Donatella, who loved the limelight, Allegra hated attention. She was more interested in art, history, and academics than running the billion-dollar fashion empire. But with Gianni's death and the weight of the Versace fortune on her shoulders, Allegra's life took a dark turn. A lifelong battle with anorexia and mental health. As a teenager, Allegra struggled to cope with her uncle's murder, her sudden fortune, and the immense pressure from the fashion world. The media constantly commented on her appearance, comparing her to her glamorous mother. People would ask, why isn't she as fashionable as Donatella? Or why doesn't she look like a model? By the time she turned 17, Allegra had developed a severe eating disorder. She was dangerously thin, and rumors about her health spread quickly. Her mother, Donatella, later admitted that she tried everything to help her, from doctors to therapy, but nothing worked. Allegra refused to eat, and her condition worsened. At age 20, Allegra was hospitalized for anorexia. She was so weak that she couldn't walk, and her family feared she might not survive. It was a heartbreaking moment. a young woman worth hundreds of millions of dollars, yet struggling with a disease that no amount of money could cure. Even today, Allegra remains deeply private about her battle with anorexia, but her struggle serves as a reminder that wealth doesn't always bring happiness. The heiress who rejected the spotlight. Despite being the sole heir to the Versace empire, Allegra has never been interested in fashion. Unlike her mother, Donatella, who embraced fame and built a larger-than-life persona, Allegra prefers to stay hidden from the world. She studied drama and art history at university, focusing on her passion for theater and literature. She briefly worked behind the scenes in Broadway productions, staying as far away from the Versace brand as possible. Even though she officially inherited her $800 million fortune at 18, she has barely been involved in the company's leadership. Most billionaires' children embrace their wealth and status, but Allegra, she rejects it completely. She rarely gives interviews, rarely attends events, and has spent most of her life trying to avoid being a public figure. It's almost as if she's been running from her own identity, a girl who never wanted to be a billionaire, never wanted to be famous, and never wanted the burden of being a Versace. Where does Allegra Versace today? Today, Allegra Versace lives a quiet, private life away from the fashion world. She rarely makes public appearances, and when she does, she avoids the cameras as much as possible. She has taken on some responsibilities in the Versace company, but mostly works behind the scenes as a board member. She refuses to be the face of the brand, leaving that role to her mother, Donatella. Instead, Allegra spends most of her time traveling, studying art, and staying away from the spotlight. She still struggles with health issues, but she has worked hard to recover and regain control of her life. While the world sees her as a billionaire heiress, Allegra sees herself as just a woman trying to live a normal life, a life that was stolen from her the day Gianni was murdered. The strained relationship with Donatella. While the world sees Donatella Versace as a powerful, confident woman who saved the Versace empire after Gianni's death, behind closed doors, her relationship with Allegra has been far from perfect. Allegra and Donatella have always been polar opposites. Donatella thrives in the spotlight, while Allegra avoids it at all costs. This difference has caused tension between them over the years. When Allegra struggled with anorexia, Donatella felt helpless. In multiple interviews, Donatella admitted that she blamed herself for her daughter's pain. She even said, "I went to 100 doctors. I did everything. Nothing worked. It was the worst time of my life." But the tension between them wasn't just about health. Donatella wanted Allegra to take a bigger role in Versace, but Allegra wanted nothing to do with the business. She didn't want to design. She didn't want to run the company, and she definitely didn't want to be famous. Despite their differences, Allegra and Donatella still love each other, and over the years, they've found a way to respect each other's choices. But deep down, many believe Donatella wished Allegra had embraced the Versace name, rather than running away from it. The pressure of carrying a legacy. Being born into a famous family isn't always a blessing. For Allegra, it has felt more like a curse. From the moment she inherited 50% of Versace, people expected her to become the face of the brand, to follow in her uncle's footsteps and lead the empire into a new era. But Allegra never wanted that responsibility. She has said very little about her role in the company, but insiders have revealed that she rarely attends major business meetings and prefers to stay in the background. This has led to criticism from fashion insiders, who believe that Allegra is wasting her inheritance. Many argue that if Gianni had chosen someone else, Versace could have evolved into something even greater. But Allegra sees things differently. She didn't ask to be born a Versace, and she didn't ask for $800 million. She simply wants to live life on her own terms, even if that means disappointing the fashion world. Her story raises an interesting question. If you were born into a billion-dollar empire, would you embrace it or walk away from it? Let us know in the comments. The constant B is speculation. Even though Allegra stays away from the spotlight, the media has never stopped following her. Every few years, rumors spread about her whereabouts, her health, and her future with Versace. Some reports claim she completely disappeared, while others say she secretly influences the brand behind closed doors. In 2011, after years of hiding from the public, Allegra made a rare public appearance at a Versace fashion show. But instead of being celebrated, she was criticized for her thin appearance. The internet was flooded with comments about her weight, her looks, and her private struggles. Moments like these have made Allegra even more withdrawn. It's clear that she hates the attention, but because of her last name, she will never escape it. Even today, anytime a Versace-related scandal happens, people wonder, where is Allegra? But the truth is, she never wanted to be part of the story in the first place. The future of Allegra Versace. So, what's next for Allegra Versace? Will she ever embrace her billion-dollar legacy, or will she continue to stay in the shadows? As of today, Allegra remains a mystery. She rarely gives interviews, doesn't post on social media, and continues to live a low-key life in Europe. Many believe that once Donatella steps down, Allegra will be forced to take on a bigger role in Versace. Whether she wants it or not, the fashion world is waiting to see what she'll do next. Will she finally take control of her inheritance, or will she sell her stake in Versace and disappear forever? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, Allegra Versace's life has been anything but ordinary. From tragedy to fortune and pressure to privacy, her journey proves that being born rich doesn't always mean being born happy. Money can't buy peace of mind. Allegra Versace's life is one of the most tragic stories in the world of luxury and wealth. She was born into power, privilege, and a billion-dollar fortune, yet all she ever wanted was to be left alone. Her story is proof that money doesn't guarantee happiness. No amount of wealth can heal the wounds of loss, trauma, and self-doubt. So what do you think about Allegra's life? Do you think she made the right decision by staying away from the fashion world, or should she have embraced her inheritance? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of billionaires, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because we have more jaw-dropping stories coming soon.